All right, well, public sector unions say they're getting a bum rap from states with budget problems. But take a look at these numbers. You got to start in New Jersey, my home state. Student enrollment in public schools increased by 69,000 students from 2000 to 2009. But at the same time, the public schools hired 33,000 new full-time staffers. That's nearly one for every 2 students. And then over to California, local governments padded their employee count by 15% from 1998 to 2008. That happened to be when the financial crisis began. Average annual pay rose 60% to more than $61,000. And that doesn't include benefits. So in these tough economic times, is it still unfair to call unions budget busters? Here to score it for us is Mark Brenner, director of LaborNotes.com. Mark, I'm glad you're here. These numbers are sort of extraordinary.
Well, you know, I love coming here because we can always count on you guys to never let the facts get in the way of a good argument. Because look at the New Jersey numbers right there. You didn't take out the people that actually retired. They're not hiring 2 for 1. Look, they're basically replacing people and seeing some modest advances in what was the best economic time in my adult life. Okay?
I'm not going to slam my state because they voted for concessions a la Chris Christie. But take Providence, Rhode Island. 50% of all tax collections go to retiree payouts.
Look, there's no question.
50%.
There's no question that there's a problem, but we're only looking at one side of the ledger. The real problem is actually on the revenue side. The only people who can talk about the financial crisis in the past tense here, Tracy, are the people at the top 1%. And we're not getting any of what they're raking in. We need to actually put the taxes back to what they're at the lowest level they've been since the 50s. We need to get back to some serious fair share.
But 40%, at least 40% of all people don't pay taxes at the federal level. We're not even talking about the state level. They don't even pay.
At the state and local government,
shouldering the burden here.
At the state and local government level, Tracy, actually, if you make $25,000 in Rhode Island, you're paying twice as much as someone making $2.5 million. It's a complete upside-down tax system because it relies entirely on sales taxes, property taxes, all these regressive taxes. So what we need to do is we need to get serious about actually making sure that the people at the top 1% pay their fair share. Now, I'm all for that. I know you're rolling your eyes.
I'm rolling my eyes.
People in your tax bracket always roll their eyes.
But it's not my tax bracket. I don't make that kind of money. We're talking about the wealthy people that spend loads of money, that hire people all over town, and the money trickles right back down.
They're not hiring anybody. They're sitting on $1.7 trillion, and they're raking it in. They made almost $2 trillion in profits last year. They're paying, you know, GE $13 billion on their own. They pay no. I pay more taxes than GE did.
GE's an anomaly in the story, but the wealthy people out there
Boeing,
have
Verizon,
money.
All of the big Fortune 500, they're paying lower taxes than me and you.
We're talking about state residents here. Wealthy state residents can do whatever the heck they want with their money, and quite frankly, right now, they're sitting on it because they don't know what the heck kind of regulations, increase in health care costs, anything coming down the pike right now.
Well, there's one place where you and I agree, which is that health care costs are a real problem. But, you know, we're not doing anything to actually rein it in. The only solution that we've got to keeping health care costs under control, whether it's for private sector corporations or public sector, whether it's retirees or active workers, is to actually move to a single-payer system. We're getting double-digit hits every year, and nothing that was in Obamacare is going to stop that. It leaves the insurance companies and the drug companies in the driver's seat, so we need to fix that. So there's one area where I know we agree.
All right. I'm happy to hear that. Let's travel on up to beautiful Connecticut.
Okay.
Look what they did today. Unions voted against concessions.
Right.
75,000 people are about to be laid off. They did not. All they needed was to agree on a wage freeze, not a decrease, a freeze. Maybe pay a little more to your health care. Maybe pay a little bit more to retirement. And they said no. Why?
Well, because Malloy started the bargaining saying, look, half of the problem, for sure, maybe more, is going to be on your backs. These aren't the people who created the financial crisis, but Malloy, in the state where most of the people actually directly responsible for this, where none of them, as you know, are behind bars, they're sitting in their mansions and raking it in, he's saying, you know, we're not going to touch those folks. So folks were like, look, we've been hurting for 3 years now, and you're doing nothing for us. I mean, pensions are not exorbitant. You know this. I mean, average person here in New York State makes $17,000.
I understand that, but don't you think
this is not folks getting rich?
But this is then more of don't touch my entitlement. We can touch yours instead.
But, no, the union folks in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, they're all very clear. We need to raise revenue. And unfortunately, whether it's Democrats, whether it's Republicans, it doesn't matter. Everybody is scared to death of Wall Street. They're scared to death of corporate America, and they won't raise taxes. So until we can actually tackle that problem, until people can actually get over that fear and say folks at the very top are going to pay their fair share, we're going to stay in this problem.
But it's not taxing the rich that will solve the problem.
Of course it will. Look,
will
the
not.
Bush tax alone will cover 20% of the deficit.
Why do you think these state governments or the federal government or anybody is actually going to spend that money wisely? It is more money wasted down the pike.
Absolutely
you make
not
concessions
true,
on pensions.
There's more fraud, graft, and abuse in corporate America than there ever has been in the public sector. I worked in the public sector. I can tell you, 99.9% of the people that work there, except for the folks that are actually elected, unfortunately, are doing hard work. They play by the rules, and they're the people who are getting screwed by this system.
So are wealthy people.
Oh yeah, right. Like Lloyd Blankenfein, Jamie Dimon. These guys play by the rules.
That's unfair.
These guys started for nothing. These are criminals. They have broken dozens and dozens of laws.
No criminal union leaders out there.
Oh, come on. There's way more oversight about labor union officials than there ever has been or ever will be about corporate executives in this country. There's a double standard that we live under, and that's fine. We hold ourselves to a higher standard. That's fine. All I'm saying is when we know there's a crime committed, let's actually prosecute it. I think we got a report from Call 11 in the Senate that tells us
I think we have to go, and I think there's crime everywhere. Mark, you're awesome.
Great to be here, Tracy.